Hi, my name is Tyrese Thomas. This is a special edition of MMA Renegade with MMAscene.com. We have a special guest who will be making his Bellator debut in the Bantamweight division. Keith
Yes, sir.
Killa Lee. Keith, how are you doing?
I'm blessed, man. I can't complain. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for doing
Yes,
this
sir.
interview on Super Bowl Sunday, man.
Of course, of course. I was telling you before we joined, I don't really watch football, so it's not that much of a hassle to me.
And you can't eat a Super Bowl food, man.
I can't eat no Super Bowl food, so
Yeah.
it really don't bother me not to be at a Super Bowl party, watching everybody eat wings and nachos and having fun while I'm drinking water and eating a banana.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on here, and I wanted to get to know you and let the fans get to know you as well. How did you get started in MMA?
I started when I was 18. I was in college for maybe like a half a semester. I had a full ride. Only reason I went is because I had a full ride. But then by the time I got there, I was like, yeah, that's not me. So I came back to Vegas where my family was already at. And my brother, Kevin, he's in the UFC, obviously. He took me to a boxing gym. I had no idea. I've never put on a pair of gloves, never put on a mouthpiece. I had no idea what I was doing. He threw a piece of napkin, put it in my mouth, grabbed some random gloves, grabbed random boxing headgear, threw me in there with an undefeated Olympic boxer.
That's crazy.
We went 12 rounds. I had no idea what I was doing. I actually got the best of the sparring, which very surprisingly. So after that, I was hooked. I was like, oh, I was in there with an Olympic boxer. Like I can actually do this. So So then it was always talked about when I was younger because of course I got an older brother in it. So it was always talked about coming from wrestling as a contact sport. So it's always something that you can aspire to after that. But I never really took it serious until that day, really.
Did you watch boxing or MMA in college or before you got to the sport?
Yeah, of course. I've been watching MMA since I can remember. Back in like UFC 1 days when I was only a baby. Like my parents were really big on it. Like of course we're never big on it how big we are now because it never was that readily available. But I've been watching fighting since I can remember.
Was anybody you
boxing fan?
Was anybody you idolized or still idolize MMA?
Idolize, no. I put everybody on the same pedestal. I put everybody on the same level because we're all just people. We're all human. We're all achieving the same goals. So I don't really idolize anybody. But as far as like being a fan of somebody's work, John Jones has always been somebody that I've always modeled myself after. Not the person, obviously, but the skill, the dedication he has towards the sport. And my brother, of course. But I feel like style-wise, I'm a mix of a lot of people that I've watched growing up.
And let me ask you this: how was it growing up in Detroit?
It was rough, but I always had a very, very good support system. It was way better than most people I know that have experienced the Detroit life or even rural area life in general. I've always had somebody that I can go to. Like my parents were together. My parents been together for 30 years almost now, 30 or 40 years. So I've always had that support system to go back to. I got 3 siblings, so it was never me by myself. So it was always easier than it would have been if I really grew up in the single dad household or the mom that doesn't care. Like my mom was always there, my dad was always there. So they always took us to wrestling practice. They always took us out their way to really like support us. So it was bad because of the area we was in, but it was great because of the support I had.
And they have full support of you, joining MMA and getting into the sport, right?
A little bit, a little bit. So my dad was for it. My mom was being my mom, of course. Between us, I'm her favorite. So it's hard for her to see me going and doing something like that, especially when I first started. I became professional at the age of 19. So it was really hard for her to let the training wheels go and be like, all right, well, you about to be a professional athlete. You know that, right? So it was one of those situations where she was happy for me, of course, but she was always worried to see me either get hurt or for anything to go wrong. But I think after she's seen how I handle myself, I think she's coming around.
And I know your brother, I think he's gone on record in interviews saying that, this is your journey, this is your life. He'll give you direction and, but at the end of the day, it's just what you're doing. How has he been inspiration to you?
Like you said, it's my story. It's about me. Just like his career is about him. We just happen to be related. Like that's what I always tell people. Like it just boils down to that. We just happen to grow up in the same household and the same parents. We are 2 completely different people with 2 completely different careers, And I always aspire to be the greatest that I can be, and not the greatest little brother or the greatest Kevin's little brother. Like, it's always the greatest Keith Lee, you know. And I feel like he's always supported that. He's always pushed me to be like that. And of course, I've always looked to him just because of his skill level, because of his dedication, because the way he showed he can be at the age of 20, 19, because he got into the UFC at 21, which a lot of people look over. Like, that's not a good thing. That's not an easy thing to do. He took me and the rest of my family out of Detroit and brought us to Vegas. So, of course, things like that I admire and I aspire to be. But as far as career-wise, it's all about my journey and really my faith in God.
Mm. And what made you stick with Extreme Couture? I know you've been there for, you trained there, and your brother was trained there as well. But what made you stay with Extreme Couture?
I'm a really big guy on loyalty. I've only had one striking coach, and that's Dewey Cooper. I've only had one actual grappling gym, and that's Extreme Couture. I also go to Drysdale as well, but those are only 3 gyms that I would really stay at. I don't know. It's really hard for me to open up to people. So once I actually open up to somebody and I actually give them trust, is damn near impossible for me to break that. So by the time I establish relationships and establish like that, I actually I'm a very big introvert. I don't really talk to people. I don't really I'm huge. I'm a huge introvert. I don't go out my house. I don't have friends. Like you asked Super Bowl, I don't participate in stuff like that. When I find somewhere where I'm comfortable to talk to people, then it's kind of like that's my home.
And you were grappling. Who helped you with your grappling early on? Remember a fight with Tough Enough about 3 or 4 years ago? I do remember that. Yeah, man. Matthew Nadar. And at one point, put you in an arm bar. What interests me the most was your composure. Like, you stayed composed the whole entire time. You didn't look out of place. You stayed composed. You ultimately got out of it and then got him to win a kill.
Yep. So the big thing that I always say is that I haven't had the traditional route. I'm 22, or I just turned 23, but I'm not a 23-year-old in this sport. Like, you see a lot of guys that come in at 22, 23, and they had the experience of a 22-year-old. I came in with a brother in the UFC and somebody that was already at that level. So, like I said, when I first sparred a boxer, it was an Olympic boxer. When I first grappled somebody, it was a brown belt or a purple belt. I never got the easy route of going in with guys on my level. So, like, when you go into a jiu-jitsu gym for the first time, you go in with white belts because you're a white belt. First time I went to a jiu-jitsu gym, I went in with a brown belt. So it's like that gap that I had to close so fast allowed me to be like, okay, this guy isn't a brown belt. He's not gonna murder me. And I've witnessed that when I literally had no defense. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was able to survive. So that instilled confidence in me to know that, okay, this guy's not gonna do anything that I haven't seen before, you know.
No, yeah, I agree. There was another fight, I believe, as well, where in Tough Enough, I think it was Anthony Mozart or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. But he also Marcet, he got you on the ground, and then he was constantly able to get out of it. And then it was the point where he also had the Renegade choke position, and you stayed composed then. This is like 3 or 4 years. You might be 20 years old at the time.
Yeah, I was
18.
I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like 18. Yeah. I mean, it all, like I said, it all comes down to who I've always grappled with. Like, my training partners have always been at a very high level. So by the time I get in there, and I have a very strong faith in God. So when I get in there, it kind of is what it's gonna be. Like, I have a faith in what I've done in training and how hard I work. So by the time I get in situations like that, it's no panic. It's no reason to panic because everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. So when guys do get me in bad positions, or I end up in positions where most guys will panic, I kind of tend to relax. Like, and I'm kind of crazy, so I kind of tend to relax. Like, as crazy as it sounds, like it. I never once in a fight felt like I was in a position where it was time for me to panic. Wow. So, like, going to that instance where he took my back, I knew for a fact I wasn't like, I'm one of those guys. I'm gonna go out before I tap for sure. So I knew for a fact before I even get to that position, about staying calm. The moment you panic is when you give up bad positions. The moment, especially when guys are on your back, the moment you panic or the moment you start like flaring, that's when guys really start choking you. So I'm one of those guys where if I'm on top or if I'm in a good position, I'm gonna wait for you to start panicking or start like just really rushing to get up, and that's when I attack. So I feel like I take that for myself too. So I learned those lessons from being on offense and then using that for my defense.
Wow, man. Again, you're only 23 years old, but the experience that you had before, just really sets the path for where you are now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, like I've heard a lot of people with this narrative of this fight of me being on the big stage or me coming to the big show. And I would completely disagree. Like Tough Enough was one of the biggest amateur organizations you can be in. And within my first 3 fights, I was always either the co-main or the main event. And as a professional, my first 3 fights were in Canada, and I was on UFC Fight Pass on the main card. And then after that, I went to South Africa and India with Brave organization. And they're one of the biggest organizations on that side of Earth. So it's like, you can say I'm at the big show now, or you can say whatever narrative you want, but I know in my heart that it's just another fight, and this guy is just the same as anybody else I fought, and it's about me. It's about me going out there performing, and pretty much nothing else.
Well, I was gonna ask you, do you feel like there's a target on your back because of who your brother is?
Of course, it's been a target on my back since I started. Yeah, no, it's been a huge target on my back, but I like I don't feel it because I don't see myself as his little brother. I see myself as Keith Lee. So I take that imaginary target and I throw it away because it really has nothing to do with me. Like, people gonna feel how they gonna feel about me regardless. So it's up to me if I allow that energy to affect how I conduct myself or how I carry myself, and I don't.
Let's speak on your brother. Now he has a fight coming with Shawn Oliveira. Have you been training together for this one?
Yeah. So right now he's out in Montreal, out in TriStar. I elected to stay here for my camp because I know the guys that I have for this body type. Because Shawn is very short. He's a pure wrestler. He's decent on the feet. I don't think the feet is one of our biggest concerns, but he's decent on the feet. Everybody's good on the feet nowadays in professional fighting. So it's all about his wrestling and how short and awkward he is. And I have a lot of guys that match that stature here. So I opted to stay here. But usually I go out with him or he'll stay here. But I know by the time I'm done fighting, I'm going to go out there with him. I know he'll be ready. Faraz is a genius.
Have you trained with Faraz?
Yeah, I went out for his last camp when we fought Gregor. I went out for a week and a half, and I stayed. Me and Kevin stayed out in Montreal, and it was insane. I still use I've been to a lot of seminars and I've been with a lot of coaches, but I can't say that I use a lot of stuff from those seminars. Like, you go to a seminar and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's dope, and then you forget what you've learned for an hour the next day. But with Faraz, it's like literally the things that I've took from that week and a half, I still use to these days.
So you're on you're 5-3 MMA record, 23 years old. Right now you're on a 2-fight win streak.
Yes, sir.
What does it mean for you to sign with Bellator?
It was amazing. I've always felt like something like this was gonna happen, but it was never my goal to get to a show. Like, it was never my goal to get to the UFC or get to Bellator or get to Brave or TKO. Like, those were never my goals. My goal is to get here and dominate. So getting here was cool. Like, I enjoyed it for the time being, but now I'm just at the bottom of a mountain. Like, I just got to the top of a mountain. Now I'm staring at the bottom of one, and now I got to climb this one. So it's all about just staying poised, staying ready for every opportunity that comes my way. And I appreciate Bellator for giving me opportunity, but now it's just about me capitalizing on it.
That Bellator division for the Bantamweight division is really growing. We had Sergio Pettis, I believe, last week.
He looked amazing. Yeah.
Is there anybody in the Bantamweight division, not overlooking Shawn Bunch, but anybody in the Bantamweight division looking at as potential fighting next?
It's a lot of guys. Bellator they do a great job of matchmaking, and I'm one of those guys where if I want something, I'm gonna get it. So right now, I don't really see anything in line other than Shawn Bunch. I'm a very one-track mind person. Like when I set my goals on something or somebody, then like that's all I'm on. So as soon as I'm done with this one, I'm pretty sure I'll find a very entertaining and a very a fight that the fans would enjoy as well.
You know, speaking of Shawn Bunch, you know, he's a guy that has fought Leandro Hugo. He fought Darren Caldwell before. You know, so fighting Shawn Bunch in your pro debut, your first debut with Bellator, it's a big fight in its own right.
In certain perspectives, it is. I fought, like I said, I fought a lot of guys where I've been in that situation where guys have been like, "Oh, you're fighting a tough guy, you're fighting this and the third," but I don't see it like that. I see it as I'm fighting somebody that came and signed the line to fight me. So it's about me going in there. It's about me dominating. It's about me imposing my will. Every fight that I've had so far, my 5-3 record is very deceiving. It's extremely deceiving. Every fight that I've lost has been by split decision. It's been by decisions to where literally one judge could have blinked and got a wrong decision. It's been the last two fights that I lost by split decision. I've had the crowd go in a complete uproar and start throwing chairs and throwing napkins and throwing like wow. I fought in South Carolina. Quick story. I fought in South Carolina and I lost by split decision. It was a fight that every time I went to the corner, my corner told me to continue to do the same thing. And I took the guy down 12 times. And it was to the point where I thought I had it all 3 rounds. So by the time I was in his hometown, in his home crowd, his family and everything was there. He sold out like 100 tickets. He was like the guy that they were boosting up. So by the time the decision came out, they gave it to him. One judge gave it to me 3-0. Other judges gave it to him 2-1. The commentator or the announcer that comes in the ring, he interviewed me first and was like, "I thought you won. The entire crowd thinks you won. Oh, wow. But how did you feel?" And as soon as he said that, the entire crowd got up. They started throwing stuff. His own family was mad that he got the decision. He was confused. He got the decision. So we even went to appeals with it. And as soon as we went to appeals, everybody, and you know how appeals works, like the judges, they watch the fight and they watch it non-biased, not knowing who's coming to appeal. So they all gave me the fight. But since it was the South Carolina jurisdiction, they said it was nothing they could do because it was already set in stone. So I've been through stuff like that. So it's like I fought home guys. I fought guys that had been a tough promotional debut and this and the third. And I've just really learned through those experiences. That doesn't matter. Like I really don't care. Like I don't give a damn what Shawn Bunch does. He can come in there with a bat for all I care. It's not gonna make me a difference. Like it's all gonna be about me and performing the way I perform.
Oh man! So I'm guessing this training camp just feels like every other one you've had.
Absolutely. Nothing changes. That's the same thing I've been telling my entire camp. My entire camp has the same mentality I do. I know a lot of people on the outside were happy that I made it to Bellator, and of course I got the hate. Of course, oh, you're fighting Shawn Bunch in your first fight. That's a tough fight. Blah blah blah. It's like everybody around me that knows me knows for a fact I'm not a 5-3 fighter. I think everybody that I fight knows that. That's why it was so hard for me to find fights at one point. Because what gets lost in translation is before I got this Bellator fight, I was a free agent and I think I had 19 contracts in 2019. 19 or 20, I think we got up to. We had 20 contracts that were pulled. We had 20 fights that were pulled. I've been in the tub maybe 3 or 4 times in a row. And the day before, like literally the day before weigh-ins, I've been in the tub and guys have called and like the fight's off. That happened to me 20 times in 2019. I fought twice. So it's like I've been through stuff like that. So at this point, it's like the camp is the exact same. Nothing changes. This guy it doesn't matter who steps across the cage from me. Because I've never looked at the opponent I'm with as my end goal. Like I really have high sets for myself. I really believe in my heart. And I feel like I'm God driven and everything in me is telling me that I will be a champion soon. So this is just part of my story. He's just a part of my story.
Let me ask you this: what do you walk around at?
I'm pretty big. That's why I'm eating bananas and drinking water. So I'm probably like 155, 156, so give or take. After practice, I'm usually like 51, 52. So right now, I'm very focused. So it's very tailored. By the time I get to a fight week, I'll be like 45, 46. But I get pretty big. I get up to like 66, 67.
God damn.
I get pretty good. Now you're good. Yeah, no, I get. But like I said, I'm very focused. I'm very like all of these last 3 fights, I've been extremely hungry just to prove to myself that those decisions were made falsely, and I've learned from those. So it's like everything in me is driven to like be professional and make sure I make weight. So like I said, I'm pretty skinny right now. I'm probably like 53, 54.
Well, thankfully you're not any Super Bowl party today.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Bananas and water. But I used to fight at 25, if you can believe it. My first 4 amateur fights were at 25. I think I had 1 fight at 35 as amateur, and then I went up to professional, and then I had 3 professional fights at 25. And I was killing myself to make the weight. The day before my last time I went to 25, I was 148 pounds the night before weigh-ins. So I cut 23 pounds less than 24 hours. It was brutal.
Yeah, I can't imagine you going from 160 to all the way down to 125.
Yeah. Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal. It's something I would never do again. That's why I've been up to 35. I feel very comfortable at 35. I'm a lot taller than most guys.
Right.
I'm like 5'8", 5'9". So a lot of guys at 35 are usually like 5'7", 5'6". Like I think Shawn Bunch is like 5'5", 5'6".
I think it's like 5'5", honestly.
Yeah, I feel like I'm coming into my own, and I'm really starting to learn my distance and being able to use my advantages. Rather, when I was at 25, I would try and go to the same speed or the same length of guys that I'm fighting, where I can stay on the outside and pick guys apart.
So let me ask you this: what can fans expect from you February 21st at Bellator 239 when you face Shawn Bunch?
Fireworks, passion. Like I'm coming out like a man that literally has $0 in his bank because I literally have $0 in my bank. A lot of people expect that as soon as you get that Bellator contract, that you're like rolling in money. Right now, if you pull up my Bank of America, I got $2.43, and you're gonna see a guy in there fighting like he got $2.43. You're gonna see a guy in there fighting like his life depends on this, and it has nothing to do with my opponent, but it's gonna be me versus me. I'm gonna be across the cage for myself, looking myself in the eyes, and really pushing myself to be the person that I know I can be. And I think fans can see that. Fans will be able to feel my energy when I walk in the room, and I think it's one that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see you Bellator debut. Before I let you go, I want to ask you some five facts about you, all right? All right, let's see. What are your hobbies outside of training and fighting?
Being with my fiance.
Okay.
I'm very good answer. I sit with her. She's pregnant now, so I have a baby.
Oh, congratulations.
I appreciate that. So I sit with her. I have a dog that I literally have been treating like a baby since I got him. So it's me, him, and her, and that's all we do. We sit around the house and I cook. So cooking would be a hobby if I had to choose one.
Congratulations on that, man. That's very big.
I appreciate that,
very big. What you have a date or a month or?
So we're really early. I actually got the news the exact same day I got the news about Bellator.
Oh wow!
Literally that same day. So it was an emotional roller coaster for me. God works in mysterious ways. He does everything on purpose. So right now she's 7 weeks, I believe, almost 8 weeks. So by the time I get back from my fight, we'll be in like full first trimester.
Well, man, congratulations on that. That's really that's a blessing. Second thing, I know we talked about food before. First meal after a win.
First meal that I go to.
Yes.
Okay, if it's not Little Caesars pizza with butter and Parmesan, it has to be wings. I'm a wing head. Like I love wings. I love bread. Anything pastry wise, I love.
First of all, I'm judging you. How you go to Little Caesars before Domino's?
What? Come on, I'm from Detroit.
Come on, man.
Little Caesars is Detroit. Come on, Little Caesars. That's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm at home when I'm not at home. That's all I eat after rest.
That Domino's, bro.
I don't even know where Domino's is around here. But literally, all I used to eat after wrestling practice, it was a Little Caesar across the street from my high school. We used to go to wrestling practice, kill ourselves to make weight in the room, and walk over to Little Caesar and get a pizza. It made 0 sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all.
It made 0 sense. We literally used to sit and dehydrate ourselves just to make weight. We'd make weight in front of our coaches. He would write the weight down, and I would go across the street and get a Little Caesar pizza all in myself, and then wrestle the next day. So it didn't make sense, but it's something that reminds me of where I come from. So Little Caesars is definitely a go-to. That and anything pastry. Like I know a lot of people don't like watching food or listening to food before they eat. I mean, before they while they make weight. But I don't know if I get this from my brother, but me and him both, we watch the Food Network while we in the tub cutting weight, and I watch food videos on my phone. So whatever I end up finding on my phone is immediately what I go get afterwards.
Favorite dessert?
Cookies, homemade chocolate chip cookies.
Okay. You redeem yourself with the Little Caesars. I'm not a big fan of Little Caesars. Maybe a New York thing, more of a Domino's.
Oh, that makes sense. New York got some of the best pizza I've ever had, though.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. This is a question I wanted to ask you. Who came up with the nickname for Kevin Lee?
That's a very good question. I have no idea. Like that's a really good question. I'm actually asking that. I've never thought about it. But I think it was either his head coach, Shawn Bunch, when he was in college. But I honestly couldn't tell you. I always thought it was a weird nickname.
100%.
I understood it because we are from Motown and he felt like he was a phenom. But I always thought it was weird. I think that's what made it good because it's one of those names where you hear and you like, what's his name? So it makes you remember it. It makes you like, wait, it's that Motown Phenom guy. It's the Motown Phenom guy. So we get guys walking us all the time like that. So I feel like it's one of those names that's catchy and it reminds you to ask. But I couldn't tell you where it comes from.
No, it's a great nickname. It's a very elaborate nickname. Like you have to actually sit down and think of Motown Phenom.
I actually sat with him before he fought Tony, and we shortened it down to MTP, and we was gonna put MTP on a bunch of shirts, but I don't know what happened in translation. I don't know if the UFC didn't approve it or not. But then we ended up just sticking with Motown Phenom. I wanted to shorten it to MTP. I think MTP rolls off the tongue better. But I feel like it's such a fan base now that knows him as Motown Phenom that it kind of it's stuck now.
Yes, I think his Twitter handle is MTP Lee.
Most likely, yeah. I don't have Twitter, but most likely I believe it.
Let me ask you this: where did you get your nickname from?
My head coach.
Okay.
So it's actually funny how I got it because I've always been one of those people that I don't want a nickname, and I've always felt like Keith is a very old man name. So it's hard to rhyme Keith with anything. Like, I can't rhyme Keith with anything I can think of. So my parents always tried to find me a nickname. Like, my mom always called me things like Silent Killer or Silent something, Silent Assassin. Because on fight week, I'm like I'm already a very introverted person. But fight week, I'm very quiet. I don't really talk to nobody. And then even like during weigh-ins, I don't really talk. Or even during the fight, you can see it all on my face. I'm a very like still person. So she always called me like the Silent Assassin. And my coach overheard that one day. And he's a super animated guy. Like if you've never watched the interview or heard Dewey Cooper, you got to go hear him. He's a super animated dude. So one day I was sparring and I knocked this kid out with a head kick. I felt super bad about it. So I ran over to him, and then he came up behind me. He was like, "You motherfucking killer! You can't be feeling bad." And then he picked me up, and then ever since then, he's been calling me Killer.
Listen, that's a great nickname. That's a great nickname.
Ever since then, he been calling. I didn't think it was gonna catch on until I went on the Share Dog and it said Killer. I went on Tapology and it said Killer. Now everybody calls me. Like they started announcing me as it. So I kind of like it's an honor to have it for my head coach. So I just took it.
Well, listen, man, Killa. I appreciate you for coming on here.
My God.
You can watch Keith the Killa Lee face Shawn Bunch at Bellator 239, February 21st on DAZN. I'll be watching. I hope you guys be watching well. Keith, thank you for coming on here.
I appreciate that, brother. God bless you, my man.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.